coming your way from Miami. The Pittsburgh Pirates take on the Miami Marlins. It is game 2 of the 3-game series. 7-game road trip for the Pirates got underway on a great note last night. The Pirates banging out 18 hits en route to the 12-8 victory over the Fish. Greg Brown, Steve Blass, and Robbie Ince-Mikowski with you. Our good luck charm, Steve Blass, is here. Our gift, Steve, you really are. Speaking of gift, how about it, Gope?
Yeah, how about that gift?
This rookie?
What about a really breath of fresh air? He's been terrific. We knew what he could do with the glove. He's been an outstanding defender, but he arrives on the scene, and he's just kind of having the time of his life. He beats out a base hit there. We had to look at it, of course, and get it approved. But what a night he had, reaching base every time he came to the plate. And he's just really been outstanding. He's a popular guy. He's well-spoken. Everybody seems to enjoy him. And then watching him take around that trip around the base pass for that triple to kind of put some icing on his cake for the night, he's just been a joy to watch.
He's gotten all the firsts out of the way. That first triple, first RBI, first run in just his second big league game. Meantime, the Pirates, our Allegheny Health Network injury update, decide to place David Freese on the disabled list finally. A 10-day DL with that right hamstring injury. And another rookie will soon perhaps make his major league debut after some 891 minor league games. The man from Puerto Rico, Danny Ortiz. So they've done a good job so far, these young guys.
Yeah, really. Let's tweak some more hamstrings. Keep bringing them up. They keep coming up, they keep performing, so the baby buccos are doing just fine, and we just hope that they keep it going. They're getting their first taste, a lot of them, on a regular basis, and they're just doing a great job.
Now, the guy on the mound tonight for the Pirates, not a baby by any stretch. Of course, Ivan Nova's got a lot of good years left in him. We're seeing that firsthand. We're going to talk about this stellar supernova when we continue from Miami, coming up next. The start for the Pirates tonight. He has been spectacular, going back to the trade with the Yankees last season. His last start was against his former team, Steve, and just a ho-hum typical Ivan Nova.
Yeah, people keep asking me, Greg, how's he doing this? Why is he doing it? Why didn't the Yankees keep him? You know what? He continues to make quality pitches. Sometimes we talk around it so much, but he makes pitch after pitch, throwing the ball exactly where he wants to, and that's the foundation for everything. When you don't walk people, he's out in front of the count. They're having to chase things defensively. So you take a look at the stat package, ERA 5th, opponent's batting average 16th. Yeah, that's a little high, but they're not coming around to score. And you take a look at the ridiculous 15-1 strikeouts to walks, 27 innings pitched, just one free pass. He's very efficient. He gets it done in orderly fashion. So he's just doing everything right now. He's in one of those streaks, and he's got great movement on his pitches.
Dan Straley, really an underrated starter for the Cincinnati Reds last year, and he will be making his 7th career start against the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's had some real good ball games against them. This will be his 5th start as a member of the Marlins, picked up in a trade in January with the Cincinnati Reds. So it's Dan Straley on the hill for the Marlins. It's Ivan Nova on the mound for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Hitting the road hard. Yeah, the Buccos were hitting the ball all over the place last night. Route to their 12-2 victory. We'll see if that can continue. The Pirates and the Fish coming up next. See if he gets some playing time tonight. Starting lineup is brought to you by RAV4. It's Josh Harrison, Josh Bell, and Andrew McCutchen, 1-2-3. Gregory Polanco, the cleanup man. Francisco Cervelli starts again tonight with John Jaso in right. Jordy Mercer is the shortstop. Of course, Gift and Gope, fabulous his first 2 big league games. And Ivan Nova will be on the mound on the hill for the Fish. It's Dan Straley.
Yeah, and last time out, a brilliant effort against the San Diego Padres. He worked 7 innings, just 7 innings, struck out 14. Folks, that's averaging 2 per inning. And did not walk a batter.
Underway, and ball 1 on Josh Harrison. Jay Hay 3 for 5 last night. High fly ball toward the rafters. 1 away.
Hang time.
Josh Harrison, second pitch flies to left. Marcell Ozuna made the catch. Ozuna in left. Our Honda defense has Christian Yelich in center. Giancarlo Stanton in right. Martin Prado, Justin Bour on the corners for the Marlins. Adeiny Echeverria and D. Gordon up the middle with JT Realmuto behind the dish. Christian Yelich, who won a Gold Glove in 2014.
One of the bright spots for the Fish last night. Had a good night with the bat.
Oh, 0-2 on Josh Bell.
Doing just fine early power numbers for Josh, the 3 home runs.
Strike 3. Bell not so sure. 2 down.
One of those 50-50 pitches that Straley gets.
Tim Timmons behind the plate. James Hoy at first. Will Little, the second base umpire, and the crew chief Jeff Kellogg at third.
No, Greg, I don't know what got into Straley last time out with the 14 strikeouts in 7 innings. First start, a little over 3 innings, no strikeouts. The next 2, 5 each. All of a sudden, 14.
14 strikeouts.
And not 9 innings, 7 innings, compressed into an average of 2 per inning.
There's the line against the Padres. 191 innings last year with the Reds, 162 strikeouts, and Andrew McCutchen with a fly ball to Yelich. Pirates go down in order in 8 pitches. That's Nova-like. See what Ivan Nova does as he heads to the mound for the bottom of the first. Middle game of this 3-game series. D. Gordon, the speedster, had the night off last night. Second baseman for the Marlins, Don Mattingly's club, coming in to tonight's action. And the Marlins, a record of 10-11, and his lineup has D. Gordon followed by Martin Prado and Christian Yelich. Last 4 games, 8 for 15, and that includes his 4-hit performance last night. Giancarlo Stanton is the cleanup hitter with Justin Bour at first, Marcell Ozuna in left, JT Realmuto, Adeiny Echeverria, Dan Straley, the starting 9 for the Marlins.
And Ivan Nova making start number 5 last time out. Brilliant against the New York Yankees, his former team. The numbers, the 1 free pass. Just can't go by that number without mentioning it.
Right away, D. Gordon grounds to the shortstop, and he's retired. 1 pitch, 1 out. Steve, look, I want to go back to the. You were saying people asking you,
what's the secret?
What is what is the secret? Come up with something.
Making pitch after pitch after pitch. We talk all around it. We hit all the other notes, but he continues to put pressure on the hitters, throwing the ball where he wants to, and he stays out of the middle of the strike zone. He's on one of those runs, and we got a preview of it last year, but he just has picked up where he left off. He's making pitches. It's as simple as that. You don't have to throw it 98 miles an hour all the time. Making your pitches in the strike zone with movement, great combination.
Martin Prado takes ball 1. Hitting .290. 1 for 3. Drove in a run last night. His third RBI of this young 2017 campaign.
So what would be the attack against a guy like Nova? I would think if you're like the Marlins or anybody else is going to face him, try to get to him early in the count, because you get behind, he starts moving the ball around even more so. He's got more wiggle room because he's ahead in the count. And he's got the ability to, he's got the mentality and the personality that he doesn't panic when he gets behind 2-0, 3-1. You don't see much difference in him. Just comes back and finds a way not to walk somebody. Of course, it automatically goes to a 3-1 count here. The one walk, the headline was, of course, that he walked his mound opponent.
Yeah, that was Jordan Montgomery.
Which is hilarious.
His first professional plate appearance. Line to left. Prado on the 3-1 pitch. To the wall it goes, and he will have himself a stand-up double.
You know, Greg, when we showed the stat package for Nova, we saw opponent's batting average. And these kind of control pitchers would rather give up a base hit than walk somebody. So a 3-1 count, he wants to make sure he gets it in the strike zone. So his opponent's batting average is very high, but do they come around and score? No, he's got a 2.00 ERA. So, yeah, he'll go up the occasional hit or multiple hits. He won't walk anybody to help the situation for the opponents. And then a lot of them don't come around to score.
Here is Yelich. Average up over 300 now, thanks to his 4-hit performance last night.
Yeah, you knock out 4 hits when you're batting .274 early in the year. Goes from .274 to .303. That's just the way it works.
On a strike on Yelich.
Really good-looking young player. You don't hear as much about him, but you should pay attention when you do, because he's very good.
21 homers, 98 RBIs last year for Yelich. Trying to give the Marlins an early lead. Grounded right to the second baseman, Gift Ngope. On to third, 2 outs. Josh Harrison having some fun with Martin Prado. Check out the Pirates defensively. It is Ngope getting the start at second base for the second straight night. Josh Bell at first base. Josh Harrison, Jordy Mercer on the left side. Gregory Polanco, Andrew McCutchen, John Jaso in the outfield left to right. And Francisco Cervelli behind the plate. Figures to get tomorrow off. The day game after the night game. And he caught all 3.5 hours last night. And he's back behind the plate tonight with Giancarlo Stanton at the plate. One for 4, picked up RBI number 16 in last night's ball game from the fish tank.
Oh yeah, they're from the aquarium.
Aquarium, yeah, behind.
And lovely colors they are coming to.
0-2 on Stanton. Steve, we got at some point we have to tell the story about Doug Rader when we see that aquarium. The crazy man, right? Doug Rader?
Yeah. There's a lot of stories with Doug Rader.
Former big league player and major league manager who went to a restaurant, real nice restaurant, one night with his wife and another couple. They sit down at a booth right next to one of those restaurants that has the huge aquarium with all the huge fish.
Yep.
He excuses himself to go to the restroom. Moments later, they're stunned to look in the aquarium, and there is Doug Rader in the water, going right up to them.
And all these stories are true. Yeah, he's probably trying to say catch and
release. He's there with all the fish right next to his wife and that couple.
Yeah. The stories about the Red Rooster, we used to call him. And at one time, he was a coach here for the Marlins.
Yeah, that's right.
Great third baseman, great major league career. They're unbelievable stories.
Oh.
And there's Mr. Nova again, making pitches.
Shutout Sports is brought to you by Allegheny Health Network, the largest health system rated #1 in the region for all the things that matter most, and by Kenny Ross Automotive Group, total confidence pricing. Let's go Bucks!
Ivan Nova got Giancarlo Stanton looking to end the bottom of the first inning, striking out that big man. So it's 0-0 after 1, and Gregory Polanco will lead things off against Dan Straley. Polanco had a hit last night, but last 9 games batting only .171. Just not locked in. Jose Osuna is locked in, but not playing tonight, as Clint Hurdle wants to get John Jaso in there, a lefty batter against Straley, who splits this year. Left-handed batters a bit better. They're hitting 200 against him. Righties 158. That's one thing about Straley. If he had enough innings to qualify, and he's just a couple of innings shy, he would be leading the league in batting average against. 178. Last year, he was 7th in that department. Opponents hit just 220 against him. And there's a base hit inside the bag. Osuna gets to it quickly, but Polanco will double.
Yeah, he has time to get those big long legs stretched out going around first base, and then it is another gear, and he sees everything in front of him, and he slides into second. I don't know if he needed to slide in, but very comfortable trip. The head is down when he starts, and he will see where that ball and that left fielder is when he makes the big turnaround first base, and no problem getting 2 out of this one.
Well, that might be a really good sign from Polanco too, by the way. His hit was right up the middle last night, and here, hard hit inside the third base bag for the double. Now Francisco Cervelli. Hard to pinpoint one big hit last night, as Cervelli figures he could at least bunt the runner over, if not get a bunt hit, with Prado back.
Not a bad thought, because if he gets it down there, it's going to be a base hit.
So hard to pinpoint one big hit of the 18, but the one that pretty much wrapped up the ball game was the line triple. The left fielder Osuna played it into a triple that scored all 3 runs for the Pirates, who had an 8-run second inning.
You know, you're talking about Straley coming into the game, 21 innings, just 13 hits. So that part of the evidence that you were talking about, that he just doesn't give up a lot of base hits.
Straley, drafted by the Oakland Athletics in 2009, a 24th round pick out of Marshall University in Huntington, West Virginia, a school that has produced several big league players over the years, most recently Aaron Blair, who was with the Braves last year, now pitching in their minor leagues. Jeff Montgomery, one-time closer for the Royals. Rick Reed, former Pirates right-hander, out of Marshall. And Stanton will make the catch. Polanco will tag, but he's not going anywhere. Ball hit to shallow right.
Marshall University, long way from Redlands, California, where Straley grew up, born. Yeah, quite an odyssey. I think I have it right after he signed. He's made stops in the various organizations after Oakland, the Cubs, and Houston, and San Diego, and Cincinnati.
The Cubs got him in the Jeff Samardzija deal. And then the Astros got him the following year, January of 2015, along with Luis Valbuena in the Dexter Fowler trade. Reds claimed him off waivers from San Diego April 1st last year. What a big pickup that was for the Reds.
Yeah, 14 wins. Absolutely.
He ended up leading the Reds in wins, innings pitched. Among the league leaders, in fact, in innings pitched. Jaso 0 for 1 with a walk last night. Came in late as Clint Hurdle, for the most part, emptied the bench. He's 0 for 9 in his career against Straley. How about Straley's stretch after the All-Star break last year, Steve?
Outstanding.
And nobody talked about it, or at least didn't get a ton of attention. But 6-0 with a 1.98 ERA in his first 8 starts after the All-Star break.
And this guy usually doesn't dazzle you with strikeouts and power pitching. The 14 strikeouts last time out notwithstanding.
Came over in a 4-player deal in January, as the Marlins sent some minor leaguers to the Reds. To left, and Osuna back. Polanco holds. Leadoff double, and he's still at second. Jordy Mercer, second batter of the game last night against Conley, and he hits the home run, the line drive, his second. And the Pirates never looked back.
And that was such a smooth swing. I mean, I really didn't have a feel that he got enough of it to get it over the fence. But he got a lot of it. I mean, just it kept carrying.
Adam Conley said this game is ruthless.
Was last night.
When you don't throw well and the hitters are hitting well, this is what can happen. He said, you know, I'm not going to think about it all too much, because if you do that and think about what I should have done, I'll be regretting that start for another couple months.
He was so good against the Pirates. What, a 6-inning shutout ball when we faced him. You know, he looks like a throwback to me when he pitches, Greg. He's long and lanky, very skinny string bean, like some of those classic left-handers that come back like maybe a Fidrich or some of those guys that the hand goes way behind the back. It's kind of old style, kind of a classic left-hander delivery. Loosey-goosey.
Polanco taking off for third, and a shot up the middle. A Pirates lead 1-0. But Jordy Mercer has been Mr. Clutch early on, hitting over 350 with runners in scoring position. And that is his 9th RBI, a 1-0 lead.
Pirates continue to do some good early work, early inning work. Early in the game scoring to take a little bit of a lead, make a little bit of a statement right by Straley. Hard enough where D. Gordon couldn't get over to it. If they don't hit it that hard, they might be able to get something done with that ball.
That average now up to 375 with runners in scoring position. 9 for 24. Pirates were 8 for 19 last night in those situations.
Always nice to see 2 out scoring, especially when you have a leadoff double and then the next 2 men are retired and you think, oh my goodness, we might waste it. Well, not wasted with that ball. It was smoked up the middle.
Gifton Gope. What night last night.
How about his season numbers so far, Greg?
You like him so far?
800.
How do you like him so far?
Like him a lot, and he's easy to like too. He really is.
He's at 8 plate appearances. On base 7 times, and he'll be retired here for the final out. But clutch hit right up the middle from Jordy Mercer. The Pirates lead 1-0. Inside Pirates baseball, Josh Harrison's job is to get on base. Lately, it's been a bruising proposition. And take a sneak peek inside a local movie that explores the impact great Roberto Clemente had on the city of Pittsburgh. That and more on Inside Pirates baseball debuts tonight after Pirates postgame presented by Allegheny Health Network. Pirate fans on hand in Miami for the middle game of the series. Jordy Mercer's base hit gives the Bucks the lead, scoring Gregory Polanco. Shift on. Mercer playing almost behind second with Justin Bour at the plate. He was 0 for 4 in last night's game.
Vintage Nova in the bottom of the first inning had a 3-1 count. Rather than give up a free pass, I'm going to throw you a strike. It might not be my best, but you're going to have a chance to get a hit. But I'd rather have you do that than walk you. So the double occurred, and then he shut him down. He didn't come around to score.
I guess that's a mindset that once you become a strike thrower, you're obsessed with throwing strikes. He's just, I know he was a good control pitcher in the past, Steve, before he got to the Pirates, but now it's like taking on a life of its own.
Yeah, that grows on you, and it becomes your signature, if you will, your personality. I don't walk people.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna run that string out as long as I can.
The other way and toward the seats.
And he's got a classic, fundamentally correct set of mechanics in his pitching motion. There's nothing urgent about it. There's nothing rushed. It's smooth. It lets the arm catch up with the body, comes on through, and that helps when that body and arm coordinates to send the ball in the direction that you want it to go.
It's a strikeout.
Yeah, and then when he gets out in front, he's already pressured you, and you wind up chasing.
And I guess it's more that he's more than just a strike thrower, because he still has really good stuff too.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people talk about maybe more movement in his pitches than he had in New York. That curveball certainly not part of what you refer to as movement. You're referring to movement on a fastball. He turns it over down and into right-hand batters.
His earned run average coming into this game, an even 2, which is 5th lowest in the National League.
And his control is also so good. He's got a right-hand batter up there now, but a left-hand batter, he'll start that breaking ball outside, and they call it the backdoor breaking ball. They give up on it, thinking it might be a little fastball that's going to stay out there, and it picks up the outside corner. And he'll come inside like that. Guys with that control, they move the ball around within the strike zone. Every once in a while, it'll be in the hittable part of the strike zone, but not very often. They work the suburbs, not downtown.
Marcell Ozuna. A 1-2 count on him. He was 0 for 1, walked a couple of times last night. He's got 6 home runs on the season.
Yeah, there's constant pressure on batters when they know they're going to see nothing but strikes for the most part. I think it creates a little sense of urgency.
Tyler Glass now watching. Chad Kuhl as well. Kuhl seated there, and Chad Kuhl will start tomorrow. Clint Hurdle's talked about Nova becoming a leader in that department. Strike 3 called, and if you're a starting pitcher on this team, why wouldn't you watch this and think to yourself, my gosh, I could get a lot of outs?
Yeah, I don't have to work as hard. I don't have to labor as much. I like the fact that they can watch Nova with one particular style, and they can watch Garrett Cole with another particular style, knowing that either one can work. I'll tell you, watching that duel with Cole and Hendricks the other night in Pittsburgh, it was just an absolute joy to watch.
First pitch swinging for Real Muto, and Polanco has it measured. 11 pitches for Ivan Nova in the bottom of the second, and the Pirates are leading 1-0. Friday night, Zambelli fireworks night after the Pirates Brewers meet. First pitch 7:05, the first of a 3-game series, and only 3 games on this upcoming homestand. After the game Friday night, spectacular Zambelli fireworks show. Get your tickets at pirates.com/fireworks. UPMC scoreboard, the Pirates up 1-0. Here is Ivan Nova.
Yeah, they handed him a towel when he came in, but he really doesn't need it yet. Not broken a sweat.
Looking for his first hit of the season.
Greg, I do have to add one story. You're talking about the Red Rooster, Doug Rader. I hit a triple against the Astros in Three River Stadium, and I'm chugging around it, and it's really worked. I'm kind of falling and stumbling into third base. He's got the ball, and he's pressing the ball into my ribs. He's trying, is that tickle? Is that tickle? There's 20,000 people, and he's trying to tickle me. I mean, he was so much fun because there was a zest for life.
Yeah.
And probably still is with Doug Rader. I thought it was an absolute joy.
Because he meant business when he was on the field and playing, right? He wanted to beat you badly.
Did he ever? He had a real intensity, and I think if you wanted to take a run at him, you better finish him off. Yeah. He was in that category. Big, strong guy, the Red Rooster. He's an absolute character in our game of Major League Baseball.
Josh Harrison takes ball 1. Josh Harrison came in 9th in the league in on-base percentage. 407, and that has not been his game. He's a 319 career on-base percentage guy.
And you know, I didn't think of him so much as a leadoff guy for a while because he used to really take a lot of swings at the first pitch. You wonder if you want those guys to hang around a little bit. He pops this one up almost as high as the first one. But you know what, my theory, and I'll just disclaimer, I don't know much about hitting, but if you see something you like right on, go for it. Don't fall behind in the count. And he's done that a good bit. He's taken a whack at pitches he likes early in the count, and he's a very successful offensive player.
And there are also times when he will, string a bat along, fouling pitch after pitch, making that pitcher work.
We could see a whole bunch of pitching tonight.
Josh Bell struck out looking in the first. One and two. Straley gets him for a second time, and he enjoys a 1-2-3 top of the third.
Park, and we are very pleased to be joined by a man very happy to be here watching the Pirates and his brother, Gift and Gope. This is Victor, Gift's younger brother. Victor, how do you describe what the past couple days have been like for you and for your family watching your brother get called up to the big leagues?
I mean, it's been an unbelievable feeling, man. I mean, if I could put it in words for you, I would, but I can't right now. It's just really great for everyone back home too, and to see him out here doing what he loves is just makes me happy.
Can you put it into any type of context what this means for the people of South Africa and the entire continent as well?
Like he said, it just means it doesn't matter where you come from, you can make it. That's all that matters. As long as you believe in yourself, you can make it.
Gift said that the first phone call he made was to you. What was that conversation like?
I was actually watching TV, and he FaceTimed me, and he asked me if I want the good news or the good news. I told him to give me both, and he told me he got the call, and I asked him, what do you mean you got the call? He told me he got the call to the big leagues. I asked him if he was joking or what, and he told me he was serious, and no jokes, I was running around the whole Pirate City.
That's pretty amazing. Now, how do you describe what kind of influence your brother has had on you? Because you're playing in the Pirates minor league system right now. You're at extended spring training after playing rookie league baseball last season. What has he meant to you and your life in baseball?
I've learned so much from him. He's got a lot of experience as well. He got 9 years in the minor league, so he knows how it is to grind in the minors, and he's been a really good influence to me, showing me the way and what to do and what not to do, and he also lets me make my own mistakes and just lets me do me.
Now, a couple minutes ago, you said you didn't have the words to describe what it was like that your brother was called up to the big leagues. Are there any words you could describe sitting here watching him play in the big leagues for the first time?
It's amazing, man. I never thought it would happen this early, but I mean, I'm just really happy for him, and it just makes me so happy to see him out there playing.
Well, Victor, congratulations to you and your family. Older brother Christopher might be watching as well. If he's watching, what do you have to say to Christopher back home in South Africa?
I'd just like to tell him that he just needs to keep watching and keep supporting us from back home.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Greg, what a story, huh?
Oh, it's just remarkable, Robbie. As Steve said earlier, Gift so easy to root for, and you can tell quickly his younger brother, 8 years younger, Victor, easy to root for.
Yeah, how well phrased. You want the good news or the good news?
Yeah,
Isn't that
yeah,
wonderful?
yeah.
Because that's what it's been for this guy. Good news after good news.
Wow.
This is good news too. Nice
little play there too by Cervelli, throwing that ball toward the foul side of first base, and there's another 1-2-3 inning for Ivan Nova.
It's time for the Toyota all-wheel drive RAV4th inning. Toyota, what drives you?
Back here in Miami, the Pirates and the Marlins. Bucks up 1-0. The base hit by Jordy Mercer in the second inning with 2 outs after Gregory Polanco led off the frame with a double. And Ivan Nova, so far, typical Nova.
How good is he so far in this baseball game? Other than very. Yeah, there's your pitch count so far. So relax. You know, Greg, on top of everything else, listening to Gift talk and his brother Victor, I could listen to that accent all night long.
Yeah, it's so cool.
It's lyrical.
Yep, yep.
It's maybe my second favorite. The first, maybe the Welsh from Wales, like Richard Burton, Tom Jones. Richard Burton, of course, a hero, having married Elizabeth Taylor twice.
He's on your Hall of Fame list on the wall.
Yeah, took the Babe's picture down. There's, there it is. Those are 2 happy young men. Boy, and talk about paying your dues on top of everything else. What, some 8 years, 8+ years?
By the way, Steve, that was Suzanne Kinan, what he and Victor, their American mom.
Yep.
Over from the Bradenton area.
That's great that they made the trip. That's great.
And she is wearing his WBC jersey, Gift Ngopei's, World Baseball Classic.
Yep. We're on television, and you can watch on television and see a lot. But boy, when you get here in person and see somebody that you know, it's just kind of magical for both parties.
Played in the WBC in 2009. And one of the things Gift Ngopei was talking about after he made his debut the other night, talking to members of the press worldwide and wanting to know, as the catch is made in center field by Yelich off the bat of Andrew McCutchen, about that experience. Gift Ngopei said there, everybody always asks about Andrew McCutchen. What's he like?
Yep.
And what's it like to be in a Major League Baseball clubhouse and dugout?
He tells the story of, quote, the call.
Yeah.
The call. Everybody that gets called up knows that story. It's a great day. You know, and you think of it too, and this, I don't want to make this more than it is, but the game of baseball brought us this story.
Yeah.
The game of baseball brought this story of Gift Ngopei from Africa to our game and our country. It's just good. It's all good.
Yep.
People ask you, why do you love the game of baseball? It can give you these stories.
Mm-hmm. 2-1 count. Dan Straley facing Gregory Polanco, who led off the second with a double. Gift Ngopei with Andrew McCutchen.
You ask Gift Ngopei, what's Andrew McCutchen like? And Gift will say special. I mean, you're a rookie. You come up to the big leagues. Everything is special. Everything.
Roller under the glove of Prado. And Gregory Polanco might have another double. He will.
Yeah, why not go back to the well? Really lined it down there first time up. This time, as you say, got under the glove, but once it did, that was second base automatic for Gregory. Down and away, and just pushes it that way. Didn't try to pull it.
That's the really best signs we've seen in a while from Polanco. Taking 2 pitches in the outer part of the plate and going with it.
Yeah, that pitch was not a strike. That was down below the strike zone. So down, got it, pushed it.
Well, Francisco Cervelli flied out for the first out in the second after Polanco led off with a double.
You know, when Mercer got that base hit, Polanco was on the move. He was heading out
with 2 outs.
Yep.
D. Gordon creeping in over towards second as the pitch is delivered.
And you wonder every once in a while that pitch to Cervelli almost looked like it surprised him a little bit. There was a lot going on in his field of vision in back of the pitcher. There's Gordon going over, Polanco going. You wonder if that catches a batter's eye and makes him hesitate or flinch. Like that pitch got to him before he was expecting it to. A lot of concern about Gregory.
Yeah. As the Marlins figure if Polanco would steal with 2 outs, might he try to take off with 1 out?
Yep.
Polanco has 5 steals this season. It leads the Pirates. It's among the league leaders. Billy Hamilton of the Reds with 10. Good catcher in Real Muto. Talked about that last night. Clint Hurdle singing his praises before the game last night. So 2 quality catchers here now. Cervelli, I'm not sure what he did there.
I'll tell you,
Did
of all the
something?
Yeah, it looks like it.
It almost looks like he pulled something, like a hammy.
Awkward follow through.
Yeah, you know, that's a. He's not getting in the box yet. Now Clint Hurdle has gone up a step. Muto checking with him. He is not anxious to get back in there.
No, he's hurting. Very awkward finish to the swing.
Pickoff play on, but Polanco gets back. Pirates have had a few leg issues recently. Adam Frazier on the DL. David Freese put on the DL today. Gregory Polanco is nursing leg injury at the start of the season. There's Adam Frazier. And let's watch Cervelli again. This limp.
Very uncomfortable. He's very uncomfortable right now.
And now the home plate umpire Tim Timmons buying him some time.
For the second time, yep.
And Chris Stewart thinks, you know what, he's going to start to stretch a little bit. Might be called upon. Straley still concerned about Polanco. Grounded into the right field. A diving stop by Gordon.
What a play.
Robbing Cervelli of a hit on the right side of the infield. Does not get into right field, but Gordon robbing Cervelli of a hit. And now Cervelli, this is pretty typical of him when he knows he's going to be retired. He is oftentimes very careful about heading down the line, not expending too much energy. And after the diving stop made by Gordon,
you can almost give him a breather like that because he's out there night after night in these long games grinding it. I don't know how he maintains the energy. He just And at the end of the game, he's still bouncing around and animated. It's something.
Yeah.
His energy level. Let's see if we can do it again with 2 outs.
Couple strikes on Jaso, 1 and 2. He's looking for his first RBI. So really ready to go. To left for Marcelo Zuna. And the out. So Polanco doubles. D. Gordon robs Cervelli of a hit and the Pirates of a run. It's 1-0 Pittsburgh. Francisco Cervelli is back out there. His throw down the second base didn't look all that comfortable, though. Talking to Tim Timmons again about it. As he threw down to second, he hobbled a little bit. Now we'll see how this all plays out. Martin Prado will lead things off here in the bottom of the 4th. Prado, Yelich, Stanton. 2, 3, 4 in the order against Ivan Nova. Prado doubled in the first.
One thing you know, he won't have to jab and stab at pitchers. They kind of come to him comfortably.
There's one. Couple strikes. 9 of 11. First pitch strikes.
It's like the lottery. Just keep on counting. Keep on scratching.
Former teammates for a brief time 3 years ago with the Yankees. And a little purpose pitch there.
Just show you I got something upstairs if you're not sure. Show you that. Go back down, low and away. If you study body language, you're watching Francisco Cervelli very closely now to see if he's going to be able to get deep into this ball game. We talk about pitchers, we should also talk about catchers getting deep into ball games. They get beat up.
Bounce to Bell. Nova covers. 1 up and 1 down. We mentioned the Pirates and Brewers meeting for a brief 3-game series in homestand. Friday night, the fireworks night, and then Saturday, another 7:05 start. And it's a free shirt Saturday. First 20,000 fans get a Pirates t-shirt thanks to Mrs. T's Pierogies. 7:05 first pitch. And the t-shirts given away to the first 20,000 fans. Go to pirates.com/free shirt Saturday for your tickets. And it should be, see it, looking down the road. Let's see, Cool would pitch Friday. Looking for matchups, so it should be Garrett Cole on Saturday night. Christian Yelich bounced to Gift and Gope.
No fly ball outs yet off Nova.
He has struck out 5.
One ball out of the infield. That was the double by Prado.
Start number 5 this season. His 16th start in a Pirates uniform. And the Pirates had Mercer stationed right there. Make the backhand play near the bag. And that is the second out. It's a nice Barrel Automotive League leader stat. The players who have had the highest percentage of their hits go for extra bases in Major League history. Look where Giancarlo Stanton is, behind Mark McGwire, Adam Dunn, and Barry Bonds. Just ahead of David Ortiz. 48.7% of his hits have gone for extra bases, minimum of 800 hits all time.
Pretty select company. Wonder why the Babe's not on that list. He doesn't miss many of those lists.
A rare 2-0 count for Nova. A dangerous count against Stanton.
Especially that pitch. That pitch, before we have a chance perhaps to see it again, looked like that might have been very inviting. Maybe a little bit up, a little bit in. Yeah, that's the red light district right there.
Popped them up.
Way up.
Another aggressive cut, and Gope makes the catch, and it's another 1-2-3 inning for Ivan Nova. The Pirates lead 1-0.
Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the Chevy Traverse and your Western PA Chevy dealers. And by Day Automotive. We're going to make your day. Let's go Bucks!
1-0. Pirates in front. Ivan Nova and his battery mate, Francisco Cervelli.
Terrific so far once again. Got a lot of pitching going on. Straley almost as good. That game, by the way, against San Diego, he went 7 innings, all the strikeouts, gave up a couple runs, one of which was a home run. Came away with a no decision. Fish did win that game.
Two-0 count on Mercer. He has the RBI. Over in foul territory, Justin Bohr.
Sometimes you get caught up in the backwash of a quick mover, a quick pitcher who's moving the ball game along, and you just get kind of caught up in it. And we go back to the days of Zane Smith, who moved the game along. Dave LaPointe, we had briefly, he moved the game along. It's just sometimes it just is that kind of game.
He's throwing a bunch of strikes, guys swinging away, oftentimes putting the ball in play. Point Park University tweets about Gifton Gope. Favorite accent, people of South Africa and brother Victor, yeah. Toward right, and Stanton.
Don't go to the refrigerator or leave your seat. This game is moving.
Two outs in the fifth. Straley has allowed 3 hits. The Polanco double to lead off the second. The 2-out single by Mercer that brought in the run, and then the 1-out double by Polanco last inning.
I remember, Greg, going to play a game at Shea Stadium. Woody Fryman started a ball game. I think we were back in downtown Manhattan before it got dark. We would move along. Baseball game also. I believe he came away with a 1-hitter. It seems like he gave up an early hit and just ran the table. That wasn't last Thursday. That's been a while. Woody Fryman did some good work for the Pirates.
Fouled back. Oh, 0-2. And Nova down on strikes. Number 4 for Straley. Second time he's gotten Nova. Already going to the bottom of the fifth. Don't go to the fridge.
Early March, Marlins Park was absolutely rocking for a World Baseball Classic game between the Dominican Republic and Team USA. Team USA fell by a 7-5 score, but Andrew McCutchen discussed the environment here in the ballpark that night.
Playoff type atmosphere for sure. You know, so it was it was high. The intensity was high. It was loud, and you know, we had it, and then they took it from us at the end, towards the end of the game, with that big homer by Cruz. But yeah, man, it was a lot of fun to be able to be a part of that.
That was a Nelson Cruz home run, a 3-run bomb in the 8th inning. It was a qualifier game, so USA obviously came back to win the entire thing, but what an atmosphere. And talking to some of the staffers who worked this, Greg and Steve, they said that was the most intense this place has ever been since they started playing baseball games in this ballpark in 2012. And Andrew McCutchen, Gregory Polanco, Starling Marte, all part of that big night. And obviously a very memorable one, obviously for the Dominican guys as winners, Andrew McCutchen, because he ended up getting the gold medal, of course, winning the entire WBC.
Yeah, and this place can get as loud as any place when they pack it up and they start getting after it. It echoes, reverberates, it roars.
Unfortunately, does not get packed too often outside the WBC. In fact, the Marlins have struggled to draw almost from day one, and a leadoff hit by Justin Bour, second hit for the Marlins.
What is their playoff drought? 13 years now, or something like that?
I believe 13, maybe.
What, 03 when they won it?
Yeah.
Won it all? So Ivan Nova has another runner on base. Second one here in the bottom of the 5th.
And ball one on Osuna.
Yep, keep striking them out or keep these outs on the infield. And you can turn a pair here. You know, you wonder with guys pitching like this, both Straley and Nova, for a home plate umpire, Tim Timmons probably gets into the rhythm of the whole thing also. Just I think it just helps everybody stay alert. Gets to call a lot of strikes.
Now 2-1. Nova has not been behind too often. You see the pitch count. 14 pitches in the first, 11 in the second, 8 in the third, a dozen last inning. Love to get that ground ball now to an infielder. Marcell Osuna had been their center fielder, but last year spent some time on the shelf, strained wrist, and taking over in center field for him was Christian Yelich. And then when Osuna was ready to come back, Don Mattingly put him in left, and that's how this season starts. Another strikeout.
Chasing the breaking ball. And that ball nowhere near the strike zone, but started the swing early. Can't do anything about it once you get it started. You see how far that one misses, but Vaughn gets the K. He had 7 last time out against the Yankees in that 7-inning outing, giving up just 4 hits and 1 run.
Ball one on Real Muto,
who crowds that plate, not probably as much of an extreme as Rizzo from the other side, but he gets up on top of home plate trying to take that outside pitch away from you as a pitcher. Now Hansen looks on.
In case they think about running Bohr, Real Muto, pretty good speed for a catcher. The Marlins, through the first 3+ weeks of the season, have hit into the second fewest double plays behind the Diamondbacks. They've hit into 13. The Padres have hit into 24, more than any team in the league. It's 1-1 on Real Muto.
And as we go along, Francisco Cervelli is hanging in there.
Two catchers here at the dish. Behind the dish is Cervelli, and at the plate, JT Real Muto. Two and one.
See Yvonne coming inside.
Pop them up near the dugout.
Come on back. Nope. On the roof. Up on the roof.
Well, James Taylor action, right? No. What was that?
Up on the
Drifters?
Yeah, the temps or the four tops. Up on the
Drifters?
Oh, up on the Taylor did it, but it might have been a cover.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. This old world keeps getting you down.
There's room enough for two.
Up on the roof.
And those two, the battery, Cervelli and Nova, reunited in Pittsburgh. They were together in New York. One of the things that Nova talked about when he re-signed with the Pirates over the winter, when he became a free agent, was how much he loved being on the team, the city, the whole operation, Ray Searage, but loved throwing to both Cervelli and Chris Stewart. Three and two. It's become headline news when Nova goes to 3 balls on a batter.
You know, and it's not the biggest thing in the world, but it's not all bad that they both speak Spanish too, and the communication lines are never blurred.
They do not run from first base. 1 out and almost turned 2, and Gope did what he could.
Yep.
It was a chopper and really not a double play ball, but they did not send Bohr on the 3-2 pitch to Real Muto. Gave the Pirates an opportunity.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The Pirates did all they could do on this play. It just wasn't there for them because it took too much time getting to Jordy. I was kind of impressed with the turn that Gope put on it. Pivot.
We saw that in spring training, the pivot. Both in Gope, we saw Hansen working the middle infield a lot. Great glove work. I imagine an established shortstop like Jordy Mercer loves to work with a guy. Of course, he and Josh Harrison have become quite a double play combination, but again in Gope, such an above average defender, and you just see that quick turn. I'd love to ask Bill Mazeroski, maybe one of these days, your next opportunity chatting with him, Steve, you can talk to the Gold Glove Hall of Famer. And Ivan Nova knocks it down and throws out Echeverria. 1-0. here at Marlins Park in Miami, the middle game of the 3-game series. Pirates won last night 12-2. Our day automotive this day in Pirates history. This day 1990. Pirates rout the Padres 10-1. Barry Bonds broke a 1-1 tie in the 4th inning and a 3-run homer off starter Dennis Rasmussen. Don Slaught, Jay Bell each homered off Mark Grant in the 6th inning. Are you listening?
Our buddy.
You listening, Mud? Back in San Diego. Bobby Bonilla capped the scoring 2-run shot in the 9th off Calvin Schiraldi. Doug Drabick won his 4th. Gave up a run in 6 innings of work. Again, it was Don Slaught and Jay Bell each hitting home runs off Mark Grant.
Yep. And we'll be looking forward to discuss all that with Mark when they come to Pittsburgh.
Where are the Friars tonight?
Wherever Mark wants them to be.
Our buddy, the color analyst extraordinaire with the Padres.
You talk about another person who has a zest for life. It is Mark Grant. Now we need to get Ivan Nova some wiggle room here.
Padres, by the way, in San Francisco. 1-0 pitcher's duel. And Josh Harrison. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes. Straley has punched out 4 through his 5 innings, 2 of them against Nova. John and I were discussing the fact that the Pirates have struck out the fewest times in Major League Baseball. That is something I'm sure that hitting coach Jeff Branson and I know Clint Hurdle are really proud of, and they'd love to keep this up throughout the season. The fewest strikeouts in the major leagues, just 151.
Put the ball in play.
Yeah. Struck him out looking. Harrison really surprised by that call. Says nope, was not a strike.
Let Mr. Tim know about it.
He does. I'd say what it'd be interesting to go back and look how many times in his career he has struck out looking. I bet you it is less than 10. He rarely gets caught looking. He does not walk much. It's not a strike, he says. It's not. That was in, he said. Ripped to right field by Josh Bell, a 1-out single.
I'll tell you, you get the ball up on Josh Bell, his eyes get big.
Not happy. I think it even told that security guard that wasn't a strike, and he nodded. Yep, you're right, it wasn't.
Anybody he finds in the tunnel, he's going to let them know also. He might even let the walls know it. So he gets Josh Harrison, then Josh Bell makes a mistake upstairs, and Josh jumps on it.
McCutchen under 200 career average against Straley. He's flied out twice to center field. I'd like to keep that on base streak going. He's reached base safely in 17 straight.
I'd like to see him run into one. I think you were telling me this ballpark plays very big, and that's one of the things that surprised me so much about the Mercer home run last night. I mean, it was really a no doubter. It cleared the wall comfortably in left center field, but it is a lot of acreage out there in that outfield here at Marlins Park.
We pointed out last night, through 6 games, the fewest home games of any team in baseball, that there had been some home runs hit more than last year, and on a pace, I think second behind only Coors Field. But to Steve's point, last year the 4th or 5th fewest home runs hit, despite the fact that they lowered the fences. They brought them in last year. 3-1 now on McCutchen, but still gave up the 2nd fewest home runs behind only AT&T Park in San Francisco. And their big bopper Giancarlo Stanton, they're hoping that by bringing in those fences, lowering the walls, that He might hit some more. He did, but overall, still plays big here.
You know, the more I watch Straley, and I don't remember him dazzling me, and he's been a good, decent major league pitcher, but
and that's the thing, he does not dazzle.
Right. The more I'm watching him now, the more I get a little Kyle Hendricks feel.
Knows how to pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
You see, McCutchen was expecting the fastball on the 3-1, didn't get it. And now it's 3-2.
Even the ball that Josh, the borderline pitch, Josh was not looking for anything in there.
Big pitch here. There goes Bell. Ball 4. That's first and second. Juan Nieves, the pitching coach, looking on. We're talking about Coors Field and the typical. That ballpark gives up a lot of home runs, but
that's playing cold today.
Yeah, look at that, snow covered. And the Rockies tweeted out, "Good things. Good thing we're on the road." Look at that, Coors Field in Denver. They are in Phoenix tonight.
Almost May.
Yeah.
Good spring skiing at Steamboat Springs.
$80 degrees here outside in Miami. Roof closed. First and second. Gregory Polanco has doubled twice the other way.
Do it again, you got a 3-0 lead.
It's been a friendly ballpark to Polanco so far in his early career, and he looked like he wanted to hit the 3-run homer.
Still a kind of an awkward swing, power swing, but awkward in that it was only 90 miles an hour. If you're a fan of pitching, well, you're enjoying this one.
Polanco yet to homer this season, and Straley has given up 3 in his first 4 starts.
Gave up 31 last year.
That's a bunch. Still unhappy. Polanco's last home run was September 16th last year in Cincinnati. Pickoff try.
No real advantage for Josh Bell to take a huge lead. He's got Echeverria right in back of him.
Lays off 1 ball and 2 strikes the count. Now, because they are trying to keep Bell somewhat close, Steve mentioned Echeverria behind the runner. There is a big hole for Polanco on that left side, as Prado has moved over closer to the line this time. A shift for Polanco. Now 2-2. Getting interesting now in the 6th inning of a 1-0 game. Polanco has scored the only run. Cervelli is on deck. Again, the Pirates last night 8 for 19 with runners in scoring position. Polanco takes ball 3, getting more interesting.
Yep. And Straley becoming known as a guy with very good control, so he, like Nova, they hate to give him up, but now he's got to come in there, and now it's hard to think about hitting a corner right now, because that becomes a 50-50 situation, and if you miss, you got the bases loaded. If you miss in on the hitting zone, you can get hurt.
And the bases are loaded. Second straight walk Francisco Cervelli, who came to the plate with the bases loaded last night in the second inning and lined that ball to left. Marcell Ozuna tried to make a sliding catch and misplayed it into a triple. With the way this game is going, almost anything to score that runner from third, even a fly ball with some depth. There's Ozuna, the left fielder, with Juan Nieves making a trip.
And some activity in the Marlins bullpen.
That's Brad Ziegler, the veteran.
By the way, Mr. Ziegler sporting a 0.82 earned run average.
Cervelli just checking with that one. He's not in agreement. You see what he thinks of that.
And for good reason.
Well, that's definitely outside.
Josh Harrison said, see what I was talking about? What?
0-2.
Twin brother.
And now you wonder, would that have been called a strike?
Yeah.
The check swing.
Yeah. The exact location. Yeah. Well, if I take that, called the first one a strike. I don't want to be in the hole 0-2, but here I am.
0-2, bases loaded, 1 out, 1-0 Pirates.
Early defining moment.
Too far out. He tried to go back to that spot, didn't he?
Yep.
Any good pitcher would.
Yeah. It would be huge. I mean, if he could hit that corner or just off the corner and get a call for a third strike, a second out with the bases loaded.
And the block by Real Muto evens the count.
Good technique. Smother the ball out in front. Nobody moves.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Pirates are 1 for 5 tonight with runners in scoring position. Infield looks for a double play ball. And now it's 3-2 again. As Dan Straley,
all of a sudden,
realizing he has to get Cervelli. He knows Ziegler's up.
You know, little sidebar to this whole situation right now. Andrew McCutchen can get as much of a lead as he wants to, so that could be a factor on a base hit.
Full count. And he walks in a run.
3 in a row.
Pirates lead 2-0.
And it's just hard to explain sometimes how it can all go at once. And here comes Don Mattingly, and that's going to be it for Straley. All of a sudden, he is cruising along, having given up just 1 run, and it departs.
Pirates work the count after Bell had the 1-out single. He scores on the 3rd straight walk, and the Pirates still in business here in Miami.
the authority of the Pittsburgh Pirates and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Pirates have a 2-0 lead here in Miami, Marlins Park. A big win last night, 12-2, to get this road trip started, looking to make it 2 straight. Dan Straley out of the ball game, and here is Brad Ziegler, the 37-year-old veteran.
Submariner.
His first season with the Marlins, signed as a free agent in December.
11 innings, just 7 hits. He's not a fireballer, but he's got that deceptive delivery.
And tough on the left-handed hitters. They're batting just 118 against him. Righties 263. So even though Don Mattingly has one left-hander in his bullpen, Jarlene Garcia, he goes with the righty veteran Ziegler to try and get out of a big mess.
So Straley goes 5 1/3. He's given up a couple runs to this point on 4 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, but the book is still open very much. So
1 ball, 1 strike. Big cut and a miss, 1-2. Straley watching as all those runners are his responsibility, and
see the frustration. Gnashing of teeth, the wringing of hands.
Ziegler out in front of Jaso, 1-2. Jaso flied out to left twice against Straley.
And in 11 innings, he has walked 3, struck out 6.
Wow, and lays off again, 3-2. Cervelli fell behind 0-2, worked the count to draw the walk. And we talked about the Pirates not striking out as much this season through their first 23 games. He was able to work the walk to force in the run. Now, after falling behind early, Jaso has gotten it to 3-2, and another big pitch. Walked him. How about this? 4 straight walks, another run in.
Walking my baby back home. 4 in a row.
Well, what a great job by the Pirates here. Working the counts against Straley and now Ziegler, and there's the first RBI for Jaso. It comes here in the 6th in a bases loaded situation. It's the walk that makes it 3-0, scoring McCutchen.
Now you wonder if Ziegler's thinking, I've got to be extra careful.
And a double play ball. 1, 2. Mercer bounces into the inning-ending double play, but the Pirates get 2 more. Straley gives up 3. Head to the bottom of the 6th. Nova having quite a night. Sounds of Sum 41 coming to stage AE May 9th. And look at the bobblehead display here at Marlins Park. Bunch of Pirate bobbleheads in there. 3-0 Bucks lead going to the bottom of the 6th inning. And Ivan Nova has been outstanding once again. 6 strikeouts. Has allowed 2 hits. Martin Prado doubled with 1 out in the first. Ichiro Suzuki announced as the pinch hitter. Got another great reaction to this certain future Hall of Famer. Bats for Ziegler. Ichiro got a couple of at-bats last night. Was 0 for 2. And to left. Nova gets the first out in the bottom of the 6th inning. You see the pitch count again at 63 through 5 1/3. His last start against his former teammates, the Yankees, 86 pitches in 7 innings of work. He has become Mr. Efficient. D. Gordon coming to the plate. Josh Harrison telling him, hey, I'm there on a bunt. D. Gordon usually once a game will try and bunt for a hit. And there it is. And there is J-Hay. What a play. He was anticipating it. And he gets a big handshake and a slap from not only Cervelli but Ivan Nova. Josh Harrison coming over to let Nova know, hey, I'll be there if he bunts. And here it is. Josh Harrison. If he doesn't catch that, it's a hit. A defensive gem from the Bucko third baseman. That's the other thing Clint Hurdle was talking about yesterday. Admittedly, the Pirates have to clean up their defense. Another great look from the Allegheny Health Network Supermo. Look at that. Just able to hang on to that ball. Looked as though it was edgy before it settled into the mitt. Glove and the strike. Oh, I thought that was a strike called 2-0 on Martin Prado. But Clint Hurdle was talking about the fact that, yeah, they definitely have to clean up the defensive end, and they came in with 20 errors. Be out of play. The Cardinals and the Brewers in the National League have committed 21. The Diamondbacks coming into today's action also with 20. But as the Pirates manager pointed out, the Bucks had on Wednesday night made some of the better defensive plays of the season in their win over the Chicago Cubs. He said, in fact, in all my years, approaching 45 years in this game, he said, I don't think I've ever seen the play, for example, that Josh Bell made at first base on that one hopper to throw John Lester out at the plate. And then the defensive play that Francisco Cervelli made after a ball got away back to the backstop on a strikeout and throwing to John Jaso at first base. And then the play that Felipe Rivero made on the bunt by Wilson Contreras, and Jaso made on the other end. So here we see Harrison make a fine defensive play. 2-2 on Prado. And look at this play. See?
Nothing
They've
but
got
Nova.
it in them. A 9-pitch inning, helped out by the great defensive work from Harrison and Nova himself.
Nothing but Nova.
defense, like what you're seeing. Last night, a bunch of offense for the Pirates. Well, tonight, grinding out a 3-0 lead in the defense. Harrison and Nova shine in the bottom of the 6th. Here's the play by Nova. There's a good chance that Ngope gets to that.
But you take all the drama out when he snags it. Well, he got pretty good reactions. We've seen him react pretty well. Big man.
He's got a good presence around the mound.
He does.
And in the clubhouse and in the dugout,
he's solid. He's solid in his approach.
I think, Steve, the Pirates took a couple of starters away from the Yankees in the last few years. As Ngope tries to bunt for a hit. David Phelps, the 3rd pitcher to work tonight, his numbers in 10 games. Who, and I think A.J. Burnett might have been maybe miscast as a leader in New York. I don't know that it worked out for him, but certainly when he came to the Pirates, he took over that leadership role. Nova was not considered a leader in that rotation. At times it was star-studded. He did some good work, but now he comes in here. It's a perfect situation for him to lead this staff.
And a lot of us had no feel for him coming back to the Pirates after last season. And
most people assumed, because of what happened with Jay Happ, who came on in a deadline deal and did just unbelievable work for a couple months. The Pirates didn't re-sign him. He became a free agent, went to Toronto. So everybody figured, well, there go the Pirates. They're not going to re-sign Nova. Well, yeah, they did.
And you know the name that comes to mind, both those cases? Neil Huntington.
Yeah, absolutely. Again.
He hits, not all of them have worked, but boy, a lot of them have. A lot of them have.
And enough of them have where, as Neil Huntington said when he came on board, I'm not trying to do one of these one-year quick fixes, as other teams have done. And the Marlins are a great example. Yep, the Marlins did for a couple years great work, but they've also struggled over many years. What Neil Huntington was hoping to do was to right the ship, infuse some talent into the minor league system, and make the Pirates competitive again, as he said, so that we compete year in and year out. And they have done that. Even playing meaningful games into September. There were, for the most part, for 20 straight years, the Pirates were a non-factor around the All-Star break. And think about that, 20 years.
We remember them well, or not fondly.
They were playing meaningless games almost every single August 1st. Now, every summer, the past handful of years, they're playing meaningful baseball. And here's another full count. And Gifton Ngope draws the walk.
And we'll take him. I mean, it's not pretty, but
yeah, that's a pretty at bat, though.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, that's
impressive.
That's a really impressive at bat. I don't think we can stress enough that this is Ngope's 3rd big league game, his 2nd start, and really looks relaxed there. Works that count to 3-2 and draws the walk. So Nova will try and bunt him to second.
Becomes a huge at bat if we can move him over and pick up another run.
Ivan Nova tweets, on fire. Yep, again. Supernova cruising along, getting some help offensively and defensively, and here he can really help himself. Get that runner over.
He's done it twice.
A sacrifice bunt, a big, important part of the National League game and for National League pitchers.
Yep. And this game has not been put away, so
by any stretch.
Get what you can.
gets it down right to the first baseman.
Perfect.
Textbook.
Have yourself a night, Mr. Not Ivan the Terrible, Ivan the Terrible.
Ivan the Great.
Wonderful, yeah.
Josh Harrison comes to the plate, and this is what he did in the bottom of the inning. D. Gordon, if that ball drops, it's a hit.
Give up the body and keep it in that glove, boy. It hit toward the heel of the glove.
Yeah, he got
there it is.
Boy, the energy. You know, he is the Energizer Bunny.
Yep. What did we call him for a while? The little engine that could.
Yep. He just brings so much to the lineup. We talked about Cervelli and his energy and full throttle.
And then to get young players coming up that arrive with it.
Yep.
So it's kind of a nice meeting of some good enthusiasm.
Fun to watch. And your Buccos are back home Friday night for only 3 games. I want to stress that because this 7-game road trip takes them to Cincinnati Monday night for 4, but then home for 3 against Milwaukee, and then back on the road for a stretch. Brewers are trailing Atlanta 5-1 tonight in Milwaukee. Eric Thames 0 for 2, by the way, the Major League home run leader. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gift and Gopay on at second, and now Phelps and Real Muto going to get together. And on Sunday, it's a kids' day at PNC Park. Sunday, May 7th, 1 week from tomorrow. Pirates Brewers at PNC Park. Fun and games before, during, and after. All kids 14 and under will get a Pirates jump rope. Compliments of Allegheny Health Network. Go to pirates.com/kidsdays for tickets. Don't forget, before the game, out on Federal Street, family fun zone. After the game, kids run the bases. Great day for the kids. 1 week from tomorrow. Bouncing ball to third, picked up by Prado. Takes care of Harrison for the second out. So Ngope on at second with 2 down, and Josh Bell will come to the plate. And if you are just joining us, the Pens and Caps are scoreless after 1. So you may have been watching that. Well, you're watching the Pirates leading the Marlins 3-zip. The Pirates got a leadoff double from Gregory Polanco in the second inning off starter Dan Straley, and with 2 outs, Jordy Mercer singled him home. And then the 6th, after 1 out, Josh Bell singled off Straley, and then Straley walked 3 straight. Andrew McCutchen, Gregory Polanco, and Francisco Cervelli. The Cervelli walk forced in Bell for the second run. Brad Ziegler came on in relief. He walked John Jaso that forced in McCutchen. And that's where we are, 3-zip.
Let's go Bucks. Let's go Pens.
And for Ivan Nova, now he has just been his typical self in his 5th start. He's allowed 2 hits. He has not walked a man. No surprise there. He struck out 6. And look at the pitches. Again, efficient. 70 through 6.
And without making a lot of noise.
Yep.
Just does it.
A 1-2 count on Bell. David Phelps, the 3rd pitcher to work. Straley went 5 1/3, gave up the 3 runs. And 4 hits. Ziegler got 2 outs in the 6th. And Gope started this inning drawing a walk on a 3-2 pitch. The Pirates have had some grind them out plate appearances, drawing those walks. Bouncing ball left side, backhanded. Echeverria, what a play that was to retire Bell. 7th inning stretch time, 3-0 Pirates.
is brought to you by Barrel. Check out barreltires.com and never overpay for tires again. And by Levin's, the official furniture and mattress supplier to the Pittsburgh Pirates. For the best quality, service, and value, shop Levin's. Let's go Bucks!
Back here, 3-0 Pirates. Going to the bottom of the 7th inning. In Marlins Park, John Jaso comes in from right field to play first base. And another player in the past week making his major league debut, Danny Ortiz, is in right field. And what a moment for him.
Yep. How many at-bats did you say in the minor leagues?
891 minor league games.
Or games.
27 years old. As Christian Yelich shows bunt, takes ball 1. So a lot of years in the minor leagues with the Minnesota Twins. Very excited when he got the call last night from Andy Barquette at 11 o'clock in his hotel room. Andy Barquette said, "What are you doing?" "Oh, well, you're ready to go to bed." He goes, "Well, congratulations." "Well, congratulations. I didn't really have that good a game. In fact, to be honest with you, Ortiz had kind of been struggling at the plate." And Barquette said, "Well, congratulations, because you're heading to the major leagues."
Unbelievable, that call.
You have two guys in the past 3 days now in Ortiz, and of course totally different stories, but yet toiling in the minor leagues for a lot of years, keeping that dream alive. In Gope from South Africa, Ortiz from Puerto Rico. Both again at the age of 27 coming to the major leagues for the first time.
It's great.
3-1 pitching. He bounces it to Jaso. He'll keep it himself. He doesn't fall behind very often. He fell behind Yelich, a tough customer, 3-1, and he gets him to chop one to the right side of the infield.
And I like the style of Jaso. When you don't have to involve the pitcher, don't do it. Don't just do it to do it. Make the play yourself. Don't put the ball in the air. We've seen over the last 2 or 3 or 4 years a lot of Danny Ortiz in Bradenton during spring training.
Yeah, this is his second year with the Pirates organization, but Ortiz was down in Fort Myers for a couple years with the Twins. Now he's in the big leagues. And big swing and a miss from Giancarlo Stanton. Ball and a strike on the right fielder Stanton. And Ivan Nova, this is his 16th start with the Pirates. He's approaching 100 Pirate innings.
Gets out in front of the big man.
1-2, and he has walked a total of 4 batters in what is an historic run of control in the 131-year history of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And that is not hyperbole. That is fact. 2-2 on Stanton. And that ball didn't break over.
What's some 33 innings this year, starting at the beginning of 2017 with 1 free pass. 1. Absurd.
65 innings last year. 3 as a member of the Pirates after the trade from the Yankees. And another strikeout for him. He's punched out 7. He has 2 outs in the 7th inning. Just remarkable to watch this guy pitch.
Goes upstairs at 91, but look at the last pitch is up there following a bunch of pitches that were nowhere near that neighborhood. .91 miles an hour when it's placed right is plenty.
Justin Bour up the middle, and look who's there. 1, 2, 3 for Ivan Nova. He's doing it again. Nissan Road ahead. The Pirates, well, might be talking about looking for a sweep. Chad Kuhl will start against Tom Kohler, starting at 12:30. Chad Kuhl will certainly be looking for the Redeemer at his roughest outing as a major leaguer on Monday night against the Cubs, lasting just 1 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 9 runs. So you know he's been chomping at the bit to get back out there. Andrew McCutchen will be leading it off here in the 8th. The Pirates look for some more.
Junichi Tozawa. Ziegler goes an inning and 2/3. Scoreless.
Well, David Phelps had the scoreless 7.
Or excuse me.
And Ziegler got the last 2 outs in the 6th. Tozawa, we saw him pitch 1 inning last night. He walked Andrew McCutchen in the 7th inning. McCutchen walked in the 6th against Straley and stretched his on-base streak now to 18 straight games.
I lost Mr. Phelps there. He must have been in the phone booth.
Well, did the tape self-destruct?
Yes. Yep, they have their assignments.
First pitch swinging and popped it up. 0-1 popped up. And now Gregory Polanco, who has been on base each of his 3 times up. 2 doubles, a walk, a run scored. Leadoff double in the 2nd and scored on a Jordy Mercer base hit. Some kind of special. Ivan Nova.
Yep. It was such a treat to watch the power of Garrett Cole last time out, and now it's just as much fun watching Ivan Nova proving you can do it a couple of different ways.
Ball to strike on Polanco. Polanco again 1 for 5 last night and a run scored. A little hesitation. Tozawa into that windup. Trying to gauge that timing can be difficult for the hitter. MLB.com at bat, your #1 mobile app for live Pirates baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get Pirates home screen icons and app features, as well as game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat today.
Talk about a hesitation. You remember the hesitation with Hideo Nomo back in the day, where he'd stretch way back up, stop at the top, and come at you.
Cervelli concentrating now at the plate. He walked with the bases loaded, fell behind early. 0-2 count to Straley and then worked it full. Finally drew the free pass in the last batter that Straley faced. 11th RBI of the season for Cervelli. Far to his left, sliding stop, Echeverria.
He can pick it.
He puts on a show. Adeiny Echeverria ended the 7th inning with a tremendous play, and here far to his left to retire Cervelli.
Von Nova has been absolutely spectacular. Call, third strike on the outside corner. Chasing the bad breaking ball. Looking. Chasing. Chasing. And getting picked off. He has just given the Miami Marlins a dose of big league pitching. Absolutely spectacular.
His line, 7 innings, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts, and of course, no walks. 81 pitches. It is going to be played here, that All-Star game here in Miami for the first time at Marlins Park, the Midsummer Classic. Too early to say that Nova will be there, but he's putting a good down payment on it. And right now, his ERA at the very moment stands at 1.59, which would be good for second in the league behind Mike Leake. Mike Leake of the Cardinals has a 1.32 ERA. The Cardinals and Reds were postponed today in St. Louis. Leake scheduled to go tomorrow against Bronson Arroyo.
Oh, this is a masterpiece.
Again, another.
Yeah. Another.
Oh, man. Wow.
I got to think he threw that ball exactly where he wanted to.
And I, not to criticize Tim Timmons, he's, I think they do great jobs, of course, these umpires. But when a guy is this kind of a strike thrower, pinpoint accuracy, you would think anything that close would be a strike. And that cost him. Yep. On a 1-2 pitch now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to get borderline pitches, and everybody in the game knows it. When you're dominated a game, whether you say it's right or wrong, the borderline stuff has a tendency to go your way.
So surprising that Nova did not get that call. And so Osuna, because he gets a second chance, and Cervelli might be saying that very thing to him. Osuna takes advantage, and Felipe Rivero loosens in the Pirates bullpen.
Yeah, it is a 3-0 game. It feels like more because he's been that good.
Bounce toward third, diving stop, Harrison. 1 first. Oh, what a double play that is! What a double play! As good as it gets. Harrison to Ngope to Jaso to clean it up.
Wow, Josh Harrison flags this ball down flat on his belly. There it is.
Smothers it before it has a chance for the next top, and we told you about Ngope, how quick he is to turn it. Don Mattingly is holding things up to see if they want to challenge it. Watch Nova's reaction. Jay, that a boy.
You're going to leave it alone. How about the plays he's made on the bunt and that one? I mean, in a tight ball game, pitchers duels, you just look. You look at the defining plays. You look at the pitching, then you start looking at what backed up that kind of pitching.
And a fly ball to right.
How many pitches?
And the catch is made. The base hit to start the inning. The spectacular double play. 3-0 Pirates. time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite. There he is on the bench.
Yep. He predicted there'd be a sighting of a supernova starting around 7:30 in South Florida. It arrived.
8 innings. You see the 3 hits, no walks. He's at 89 pitches. So he's going to go out there for the 9th and try and complete another one. But first things first, the Pirates will look to add on. Josh Harrison. Hey, yeah.
You're part of this, Josh. Big part of it.
He said, I told you. Having some fun. What, does anybody like playing baseball more than Josh Harrison?
Nope. Maybe as much, but not anymore.
John Jaso drives one to right center field. Back is Stanton toward the wall and off the top of the fence. Jaso might have an inside the park home run. He doesn't. No, it's going to be called a home run. It's over the wall for a home run. The umpire said it went over the wall, and it is a home run for John Jaso, his first of the year. So he clears the deck, and the Pirates take a 4-0 lead.
And it was going to be a home run either way. That ball took a bounce that let him stroll around the bases.
And that is not even going to be questioned by the Marlins. They are not asking for a review. Four-0 ball game as it cleared that lower fence and hit the backdrop. Jaso's home run, his first of the year.
Yeah, bring him in for defense and let him hit it over the wall.
His first RBI came with the bases loaded in the 6th. A walk. This one launched over the right center field fence.
Went out, grabbed it, turned it back around to right center field.
Off of their closer, Ramos, and now Mercer with a base hit to left. A home run, a base hit. Jaso makes it 4-0 with his first of the year. And now it's Gift Ngope. Ramos's numbers coming in. The Marlins closer with 3 saves. And Ngope, who was also a big part of that defensive play in the bottom of the 8th inning by that turn. Nova is on deck, so a lot of times in the 9th inning with your starting pitcher on deck in a fairly close ball game, you're expecting a pinch hitter on deck, so Ngope would be bunting, but not here. Nova having a chance to go the distance.
Yeah, the inner workings of that double play. Harrison's halfway on the ground and still manages, as he's coming up, to give a good feed to Ngope. So that's what you want when you're trying to turn it quick, and they didn't have much time for anything else. It had to be about chest high, and that's where Josh gave it to him.
Two and two. The inning begins with a John Jaso home run to give the Pirates the 4-0 lead. Jaso hit 8 last year. Clint Hurdle was talking before the game about patience with young players, pitchers. He and Neil Huntington have had that discussion that it takes courage to have patience, and that is so true. Not to be quick on the draw, to pull the trigger and take guys either out of the lineup, out of the rotation. The same is true for veterans like a Jaso. trying to get him some playing time, especially because of how Jaso performed, in particular toward the end of last year when he started to hit the ball with more authority. And Gope caught looking.
Not crazy about that call, but many times when you're a young player, you just take the bat back to the dugout.
Oh. Good pitch from Ramos. Yeah.
Yep.
Now Nova probably will try and bunt Mercer into scoring position.
Did that well earlier.
Muto will throw to second. Oh, and a pick over there at the bag. What a play that was. Again, Echeverria.
He is something else. That's a great play right there, but I was really impressed with that ground ball he took. He went way up towards second base, but the bounce back up to getting in a throwing position, that was so good. And this is such a good pick as he has to take it on the short hop, like a first baseman.
Heck of a play by Echeverria. Real Muto throwing to second for the force. This infield for the Marlins can play some defense. And speaking of defense, Josh Harrison at the plate has made a couple of defensive gems. Oh, 0-2.
So Josh, take a whack at that first pitch. He's not adverse to doing that. He'll work an at bat, as you said, but not afraid to turn it loose either.
A 1-2 count. And now 2-2. Toward right. And that will end the top of the ninth. That began with John Jaso's first home run. 4-0 Pirates. Ivan Nova looks to finish the deal. Josh Harrison's defense, brought to you by the Allegheny Health Network and our Super Bowl and Supernova, trying for his second complete game in his first 5 starts of this season. It would be his 5th complete game as a Pirate in 16 Bucco starts.
Yep, he was on the losing end that series in St. Louis when lost all 3 games 2-1 2 starts ago, and he has been brilliant tonight and backed up nicely defensively.
You see the pitch count, 87. And tomorrow, Bucks wrap up this 3-game series in Miami. Chad Cole starts for the Pirates against Tom Kohler. Coverage starts at 12:30. Pirates pregame presented by W.B. Mason. 3 more outs for Nova and the Bucks to make it another W. And now Derek Dietrich bats for Ramos, and he takes a strike.
What else would it be?
To right, deep, and foul.
It's our night, Derek. Sorry. That close. That ball looked like it was hooking early and then stopped hooking a little bit. But there's the evidence. Strike 2.
89 pitches, 60 of them have gone for strikes. Hit well to center. McCutchen back. And with room, deep part of the yard. Dietrich close on 2 swings to hitting his first home run of the season.
This ballpark plays big. We needed it to play big right there. That ball had a lot of steam heading out towards center field. And now Francisco's really going to tell him as he goes out to the mound, don't do that again. You see the frustration. If I knew he got that ball up, and he's telling himself, don't do that again. No, don't do it anymore.
Tapper, Nova. Look at this. He gets Gordon 2 down in the bottom of the 9th inning. 91 pitches. 1 out away from his 5th complete game in 16 Pirate starts.
And don't worry about fatigue. When you get to the 9th inning pitching like this, the adrenaline takes you through. The momentum takes you through. The confidence takes you through.
Strike 1. Martin Prado facing Ivan Nova. Look at that, 21 out of 29 first pitch strikes.
There's a big fan right there. Number 45, Garrett Cole, watching this masterpiece.
1 and 2.
Drops it in there. Worth the 2nd strike. This is what you call a portrait. Put a lid on it, Yvonne. Put a lid on it.
Bounce back to Nova. Incredible. He is Supernova.
raise the Jolly Roger.